The cloud. Yes. All right, everybody. You ready? Okay, so let's take a look. This first section was the one on classifying triangles by angles and sides. Okay, so by angles, you have three ways: acute, obtuse, and right. So if we took a look at our triangle, in this case, I have three angles. I always have three angles. One of them's a 90 though. If I have a 90-degree angle, that means this is a right triangle. So I already know the answer. It has to be C, obviously. But I could have ruled out obtuse and acute because in order to be obtuse, I would need one angle that's bigger than 90. Acute would mean that all three are less than 90. I don't have that. So I've got that one right angle. Let's just refresh our memory what these are. Isosceles. What did that mean again? Isosceles.
None of the sides are symmetrical.
Two sides are. Isosceles is two sides are. Two sides congruent. Scalene is the one that's none. So if it helps you, you can remember my silly little way. Two eyes, you have two eyes. Isosceles, two sides the same. You don't have any scales because you're not a reptile. No sides the same, okay? All right, and then if we look at number 2, check out the angles. So right away, I see an obtuse angle, 124 degrees. So I know this is obtuse. This time, that only eliminates the first two options. So now I do have to figure out if it's equilateral or scalene. We just said that scalene was the one where no sides are the same. But what was equilateral?
All the sides are?
Yeah, all three sides congruent. And I certainly don't have that here. If you take a look at the three sides, they're all different lengths. So yeah, obtuse scalene makes sense there. So those of you that did this on paper, make sure that you are correcting your answers as we go. Don't forget, even if you did it on CUDA, it might not be such a bad idea to have it on the paper too. All right, so now you were supposed to do the same thing, but they give us markings instead of numbers. So what do I see? Ooh, a right angle. Ding, ding, ding. So let's see. Let's cross off B. Let's cross off A. I mean D. What am I saying? B and a D get crossed off. I saw the A of acute. So this is definitely a right triangle, but which is it? Is it isosceles or scalene? Which one do I have here? Isosceles or scalene? Yes, I have two sides the same. So I'm going with isosceles. Now 4, this one's interesting. Yes, of course it's right because I have a right angle. So we'll cross off these two. But, how are you supposed to know if it's scalene or not? Scalene means that no sides are the same, right? Well, the important thing to remember is that if any sides are the same, I have to mark them the same. So if no one's marked, that means no one's the same. So this has to be a right scalene. By the way, can you have a right obtuse triangle? No, that's impossible. You can't even have one. If you tried to draw one, you couldn't draw that. It would not be a triangle. So yes, right scalene is our only option. Okay, flip. If you're following along with me. Okay, now they gave you the name of the triangle and you had to pick which triangle reflects that. So here I want acute scalene. So acute, remember, means that all the angles have to be less than 90. So A is out. B looks okay. C, you're out. And then not possible, maybe it's not, but let's go back to B and just see if it is what I need. Acute scalene. Scalene, you don't have any scales because you're not a reptile. No sides the same. And none of my sides are the same. So yep, B is the right answer. That one is acute scalene. Okay, number 6, I want a right isosceles. So I need a right angle. So A is out right away because there's no right angle there. C is also out because there's no right angle there. So now I'm between B and D. Which one of those two is an isosceles triangle, Mary? B is correct.
I thought you said
Oh, I thought you said B too. You said D?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. But yeah, that's what I wanted, right? Isosceles. And I've got it. Oh, okay. So you'll hear, let me let him in. Yes, okay, right, isosceles. Two sides the same, the 4.8.
My Chromebook died.
That's okay. All right. So that's it for classifying the triangles. Are we okay there? We can do, right, acute, obtuse, scalene, isosceles, that. All right, so there's the first section of the test. Then the next section really just deals with the fact that all three angles add up to 180. If you know that, you can do the whole middle section of this test. Because that's really all you need. If you know that these three angles have to add up to be 180, I agree with you. It is D. If you just add up 36 and 60, take it away from 180. Of course, you guys can use calculators tomorrow. So feel free. So when I look at number 8, I'm doing the same thing. I have 50 and 70. So what's got to be left? Mary? 60 is correct on that one. Now it gets a little bit more complicated on the next page, I believe, but it's not anything you can't do. I can't just look at this and tell you what the answer is, but what I can do is write an equation, because that's what we do when I have a variable. I'm going to go ahead and solve for x. So all three angles add together to get me to 180. That's what I'm writing. 34 plus 8x minus 9 plus 75. All three of them together add to be 180. That's what I'm doing here. Anytime you have to solve an equation, just add them all together, equal to 180. Now we got to combine like terms. So 34 and negative 9 is actually a positive 25 plus another 75. You actually get a 100 there, don't you? When you add those like terms together. Right? When you add 34, negative 9, and 75. Double check me, but I'm pretty sure that's a 100. Yeah?
Sure, if it's 100, then it's
Yeah, it's going to end up being C, right? Because I'll just minus that 100. And I get 8x equals 80. So when I divide by 8, I do in fact get 10, which is choice C. It always feels good when you do the work and then you see that your answer really is a choice. That's always reassuring. And yes, that one is correct. Number 10 is very interesting because a lot of times kids will mess this up. They will, let me zoom way in so we're sure that we can see this very clearly. I can't tell you how many times kids come in and they write 60 plus 6x equals 180. No, it doesn't. 3 angles add up to be 180, not just 2. You got to add this one in there too. And isn't that 90? Don't forget it. So you should be doing something like 60 plus 6x plus 90 equals 180. And that's going to give you a very different answer. So just always make sure you're adding all the angles, not just 2 of them, everybody. And now let's add them together. 60 and 90 is 150. Minus that 150 over. So I get 6x equals 30. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize I was hiding behind some icons there. So it looks like I get 5. By the way, don't get thrown off if you end up getting a negative number. It is possible to get a negative value for x. It doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes it does. It doesn't automatically mean that you're wrong. You would just, if you got a negative number, plug it back in and make sure that none of the angles turn negative. If they do, then yes, it is wrong. But in this case, I got a positive 5. That's a choice, so I feel good. The next ones are the same idea. I'm still using the fact that triangles add up to be 180. This one's just a little, it adds another layer of complexity, that's all. Okay, so I can't figure out what this angle is yet, but I can figure out this angle right here. Just look at this triangle. I've got 70 and 20, which happen to add up to be 90, right? So if I take 90 away from 180, it just so happens to be 90. It could have been anything, but it just so happened to be 90. And then where do I go from there? What am I supposed to do with that? How does this being 90 help me? Say it again. Yes, I have vertical angles. So once I figure out that angle, I automatically get that one. Now I'm in this triangle and I can solve for that missing angle. So let's see, I've got 90 and 31. It's got to be what, 59, right? That looks right. So these three, if that's 59, that's going to get me to the 180 that I'm looking for. Okay, same thing pretty much in 12. I can't figure out this angle yet, but I can start in this other triangle. So.
Good afternoon, please pardon the interruption. At this time, those students and classes that eat their lunch should transition from the educational instructional lessons to sanitizing the classroom. Just as we did with previous lunches, at the conclusion of this announcement, those students who eat third lunch and who ate third lunch yesterday and were here in the building yesterday will report to their assigned seat in their assigned lunch location. Again, at the conclusion of this announcement, those students who were here yesterday and eat third lunch every day will report to their lunch location and seat from yesterday. At the bell, students with alternating day schedules, or for those of you that were absent yesterday, will then report to one of the three lunch locations, the cafeteria, the auditorium, or the outdoor tent off the foyer. If you were not here yesterday or did not eat third lunch yesterday because you have an alternating day schedule, please see an administrator in one of those three lunch locations or a staff member in one of those three lunch locations to review the open and available seats before taking a seat. A reminder to all students in lunches, please make sure that you use the QR code as well to sign in. While today is a bit of practice, we will be moving forward with this effective tomorrow. At this time, those students who were here yesterday and eat third lunch daily, they report to their location and seat that they were in yesterday. At the bell, the other students in third lunch will report to their location and identify themselves to an administrator to get a seat. Thank you.
Okay, so we figured out that that angle's got to be 125. And then remember, we use vertical angles like our best friends. If we get this, then we know that this one right here is 125. Buy one, get one free sale all day. So now I can figure out that missing angle, which is 180 minus the 125 and minus the 32. What do I get? I get 23. Did you? Yeah? Okay, good. Okay, so that's that whole section, the angles adding up to 180. So if you know that factoid, you can probably do the whole middle section of this test. And then the last bit of the test is all on triangle congruency, okay? So let me remind you, if you forgot how to do like 13, 14, these ones, once I remind you, you're gonna be so happy because they're so easy. These are the ones where I don't even look at the diagram. The congruent statement is key here. They want to know down here, I know it's a little hard to read, but they want to know what side matches up with YZ. Remember how we did this? You just look up here, YZ has to match up with KJ. Remember that? And it was so easy when we did it. You just got to remember that that's what you're doing. So the congruent statement lists out everybody that matches up. So that's what we're looking for here. YZ has to match up with KJ, my brother's initials. So that's the one that we're going to pick. Same thing over here. I'm literally not even looking at the diagram. I think it's even more confusing. MK. So if I'm doing MK on this side, I have to do WM on this side. Sweet. That's nice and easy. As long as you know that that's what you're doing, right? Now, these, let's see, these were a little bit trickier, but it's the same idea. They're giving me the statement and then they are asking me to pick which of these choices has the triangles marked correctly. Okay, so let's see how to sort of process our way through this. So here's what I might do. It doesn't really matter where you start. I usually just go for the first letter. So Q in this triangle has to match up with Q in this triangle. So what that means is if I look at the arcs on the angles, however many arcs Q has in the first triangle is the same number of arcs that Q should have in the second triangle. So let me show you. Look at choice A. Look at this. Here's Q. Q has one arc in this triangle, but 3 arcs over here. They're not the same. So A cannot be the right answer. Look at choice B though. See how Q has one arc in both? One arc, one arc. So this one at least is still in the running. C is still in the running and D is still in the running. Okay, so now we'll move on to the next letter. S and K should be in the same spot or have the same markings, I should say. S and K, see that? Because they're both in the middle. So now let me just look. S here has 2 arcs. Here has K has 3 arcs. So B is out. C looks good. S and K both have 2. And on D, S and K both have 2. Okay. And then I gotta look for the third one. R and J should match. And they do in both. So now what do I do? Because I've checked all the angles and I still don't know. Now we go to the sides, right? We have 6 bits of information in one congruent statement. It's not just 3 angles, it's also 3 sides. So what I might do is say, so let's see, if I'm looking between these two, see how QJ is marked differently in each of these? QJ here has 1 slash, QJ here has 3. So if I go back to my congruent statement, QJ should be marked the same way as QR. See that? QJ should be the same as QR. So if I look at my choices C and D, I want to see who has QJ and QR marked the same. And hopefully you see, yep, it can't be C, because look, QJ has 1, QR has 3. So C is out. It's got to be D. And D did have QJ has 3, QR has 3. Okay, so they can get a little tricky. Sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you can kind of rule it out just based on the angles. All right, so let's try 16. We've got, so if I start off with just the first one, R and Q should be matched, marked the same way in each triangle. R and Q. So let's see, a Q in this triangle has 2, but R in this one has 3. So A is out. B, 2 and 2, that looks fine. C, 2 and 2, that looks fine. Oh, but look at D, 2 and 3. Nope, so D is out. Okay, so now I'm down to just 2 choices. Let's go, I'm gonna go for the last one. P should match up with B. And they both do. Okay, so now again, I gotta check for sides. Let's see who's different here. QV. QV in each is marked differently. So let's see who QV should match up with. Looks like it's RP. So I want QV and RP to be marked the same way, and they are in C, but not in B. Yes. Gotta be C. But then sometimes you get really lucky. Was this the one? Yeah, I think, I can't remember. One of them you could do with just 1 angle. Let's see if it's 17. So, oh, and 17 is actually a little bit different now. They're giving you the markings and you have to pick which congruent statement is right. So here's how I would do this one. Let's just pick 1 angle to start with. How about I and C? So I has 3 and C has 3. You see that? I and C are marked the same way. So that means in the congruent statement, they should appear in the same spot. So see how this one has I as the last letter? That means C should be the last letter over here, and it is. So A is still looking good. But look at B. I is first and then C is in the middle. That doesn't work out. So B cannot be the right answer. I and C match up in choice C, so I'll leave that. I and C match up here as well. Okay, so I'll leave that. All right, let's check another one. G should match up with G. See how they're both one arc? 1 and 1. So wherever G is on this side, G should be on this side. So that's happening in A. Ooh, but it's not happening in C. Look, it's in the middle and it's at the end. C is not right. And ooh, it doesn't happen in G, in D either. G is first and G is last. I know my answer. It's gotta be A. Is this making sense? You with me? Some of you are. All right, cool. This one doesn't look so bad. I and S should match. Let's see. I is first, S is not. See you later, A. I and S, that one looks good. Oh, C doesn't work. D doesn't work. Look at that. You got the answer with just checking one angle. Yes, I love when that happens. And then the last piece is going to be what we just talked about or have been talking about. I would absolutely have this handy dandy reference sheet out as you're doing these. If you find it helpful, you'll have an example of all 5. I just realized that SAS printed out way bigger than the other ones, not for any particular reason. I probably just hit the wrong number font, but whatever. Yeah. Because I have a lot of SAS, that's why. So let's see, all you gotta do, you're gonna come in, you're gonna ask yourself, every single one, you say, are there vertical angles or a shared side that I get to mark? In number 19, you bet there is. There's a vertical angle, so I'm gonna go ahead and mark it. If you are now marking it with 2 arcs, it's not a big deal. Nothing's gonna happen. It's a good habit to not mark it with 1 arc, but if you do, whatever. So now I just got to figure out which one this is. Okay, you guys tell me. Who wants to go first? Because I think I'm just going to call on all of you. Anybody want to go first? Tony, go ahead. Which one is this? Yes, this is angle side. You have 2 angles and then the side after it. That's angle side, just like in your picture on the cheat sheet there. Number 20. There is something I can add here. They share a side. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that side. Izzy, can you tell me what this would be now? No, to be SAS, you would need 2 sides and an angle. You've got 2 angles and a side. Yes, C, angle, side. You have 2 angles and then a side. Number 21. Whoa. Gosh. Move all this out of my way. All right, 21. Cam, you get this one. There we go. Yes. So you might feel like this one should be SAS, and I would almost agree with you because you do have a pair of vertical angles. The top triangle is SAS, but the bottom one's not. Remember, they both have to be marked the same way. And these are not, right? You have SAS on top, but then on the bottom, you have the bad word. We can't have that. So we're going with A, not enough info. Okay, 22. Damien, this one's yours.
That's me.
No. So in order to be HL, you have to know for a fact that you have right angles. They look like right angles, but we don't know that they are. Did you say B? Yes, angle, angle, side. Let's talk about why it's angle, angle, side. So I marked the vertical angles that you have. So now you do have two angles and then a side. See how it spells out what you want? Angle, angle, then a side. Right? If you just follow around. So cover up one triangle. Don't even look at the other triangle. If you just follow it around, angle, angle, then the side. That's AAS. Okay? So choice B on that one. Almost done. 23. Okay. Mary, this one's yours. Yes, side angle side. You have the side down the middle that they share, so you can mark it. And now look at what you have. Cover up one of them. Don't even look at this bottom triangle here, right? Just look what you have. You have a side, then you have an angle, then you have another side, SAS. Right? As you go around the triangle, it's going to spell out what you have. SAS. 24. All right, Justina, this one's for you. You got vertical angles, I'll mark them for you. Justina, this one's yours. It's number 24, if you have it.
Oh,
Yes, angle, side, angle. And you know this because it spells it right out. Angle, side, then an angle. Choice A. Yes, good. Okay. Kiana, you get this one, number 25. Let me get it all in here. You got a pair of vertical angles, so I'll mark that for you.
angle, side.
You got it. Angle, angle, side. As you go around the triangle, it's going to spell it out. Here's a side, then an angle, then an angle. SAA is the same exact thing as AAS. Yes. Okay, 26. Yeah, I just went. Lacey, what do you say on this one?
I said side angles.
You are correct. You got vertical angles here, side angle, side. Okay. Alex S., what do you think about 27 here? You're right. This is HL. I have right triangle, so at least HL is a possibility now. To check that it really is a hypotenuse leg though, first of all, we see that there's a shared side down the middle, so let's mark it. And then I need to check, are the hypotenuses marked? So the side across from this 90 needs to be marked. It is, that's the H. And then the L is just any leg that you see. If you're looking at this little cheat sheet too, I think this is the exact same picture, right? So use this. This is absolutely HL. You got it correct. Okay. Ariel, can you do 28 for me? What would you say this one is? Ariel says B, and I agree. This is another hypotenuse leg. Right triangles, the hypotenuses are marked, and a leg. Yes, HL. Okay, guys, do we feel better today than we did yesterday? Are you going to do great on this test? I hope so. All right, so what time is this end? 30, right? But not really, because they take forever. Okay, so I'm again not assigning any official homework, but if you remember on CUDA, there is an assignment called Extra Practice on Proving Triangles Congruent. You should do that. It's so helpful. Just to practice them. Okay? Does anybody have any questions right now? Everybody's all right? We're okay? Everybody good? Anybody at home? Questions? Nada? Enchilada? No? Good? All right, so I'm gonna end it here. So I will see you all tomorrow. Don't forget to study. Mrs. Muska, you're the best as always.
All right, we'll see you in a bit.
See ya.